Thank you so much for joining us and staying with us on the program. Well, let's continue our conversation here, shall we? Well, let's look at the modalities of the screening process. Senator Tagiwa is still with me in the studio. Well, these are some of the things that the current Senate says it will go through. The first is that the nominees must submit the profiles and CV. Well, the police and security agency is expected to profile the nominees, and again, at least 2 senators from the nominee home state to support the candidate from that state. Well, again, nominees to face a committee of the whole for the screening process. That's where it's going to at the deep of the chamber there. And also, nominees will be questioned and made to answer the queries posed at them. Questions are going to be thrown at them, and 2/3 of the Senate to approve of a nomination for any of the nominees to scale through. Well, plus any other constitutional requirement. Well, some people are talking about this. Someone like Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila has he has an objection to some of the issues raised in these modalities, and these are his thoughts. He said, any rule that leaves the fate of a nominee to the approval of senators from his state who are of a different political bent or ideology has the potential of running foul of the Constitution in its application. He also says that he encourages the senators to reconsider this new made-up rule. According to him, which he said is unknown to the Constitution of the Federal Republic and is stark antithesis to it. He says we must avoid any temptation to introduce a dangerous and anti-people precedent into our body politics. Let me ask you, these modalities, do you think it's too stringent, or you think that it's just it's just a tradition of the Senate?
No, I think, everything, unfortunately now, has been politicized. This has been the procedure. The Senate has, the rights in this, direction to regulate itself. The Senate has the rights, to come out with modality, for screening. As you know, the, nominees are screened, during the committee of the whole. And then at the end of the screening, the Senate president will go back to his seat as Senate president, because during screening, he's chairman of the committee of the whole. So at the end of the screening, the Senate president will go back and then reports what has happened to the House. And then that's when voting takes place. However, on the issue of 2 senators from his state, I think it's also reasonable, because those senators are representatives of the people. So you don't want to go and bring strangers. You don't want to. Somebody can even claim that it's from an area where it's not from. Somebody can also be a politician who has never in any way shown his face in the constituency. So the senators, as the representatives of the people, have a right to confirm or to say whether that person is suitable. That does not mean that that should be his main area of qualification for him to qualify.
All right. All right.
Do you understand? That is the political aspect.
Do you see any of these nominees failing the screening process?
When I was advisor, nominees fail screening process. Nominees, because Senate, in fact, I like the interest that this is generating now. The frenzy is there. But what I'm seeing is that Nigerians are getting to be very, very interested in all aspects of representation. Now, the issue of nominees, the senators really take time to sit down and scrutinize all the documents. And even if you had gone through security clearing before, they still scrutinize. And sometimes, some of the reports, if you want reports from abroad, it may not come in early enough. I've had an instance where I was almost taking a nominee in, and a report came in. And I had to call the president, and the president said, bring back. So I couldn't take the nominee to the Senate.
All right, just a moment, Senator Tagiwa. Mr. Femi Adesina joins us from our Abuja studio. He is the president's spokesperson. Thank you so much, Femi, for being part of the program tonight. Let me start by asking you. There's been a lot of talk about that list, and a lot of Nigerians will be asking, why didn't the president submit the full list, and when is the remainder of that list coming to the Senate?
if you look at how lists were submitted in the past, they all didn't come in one fell swoop. They came in batches. The figures may be different. In this first batch, we had 21. In the other ones, we may have had 30-something, but they didn't all come in one batch. And there is no law that says they must all come in one batch.
All right, so when is the second list ready now? And when will it get to the Senate?
The second part?
Yes, the second tranche of the list. When is it getting to the Senate?
That depends on the president, but we can assume that it's not going to take long.
Well, if you assume, like you have asked us to do now, if we are assuming, is the list almost getting ready now? Because the senators are saying without the second list, they will not allow the full screening process to be concluded.
No, they didn't say that. Somebody raised that, but it was not a consensus of the whole House.
So let me go into some other matters. Now, people have been talking, for example, on the representation of some of the nominees at their state. For example, tell us, from which state was Mrs. Amina Mohammed nominated from? Kaduna or Gombe State?
The list was read out by the Senate President.
Without the state? Without the state.
I guess that question should go to the Senate, because the Senate President is the one that will say this is representing the state. It's not actually a question that it should come to me.
No, but what I'm saying is that we saw the letter. The Senate actually gave us the opportunity of seeing a copy of the letter, and it did not actually include the state where the nominees come from. And that's why some people need clarification. There are petitions on where she comes from. Is it Gombe or Kaduna State?
That's why there's going to be a screening process, and I believe that that's one of the things that will come up, screening.
A lot of people have asked about the issue of technocrats, and so a lot of Nigerians have raised the question of the old hands coming into the play. There are no youth, there are no women representation. Is the president concerned about these concerns of Nigerians?
These people that have been nominated are Nigerians, and they are Nigerians that qualify. Talking of age, there is a saying that age does not matter. If you don't mind it, it does not mind. So I don't think age is an issue. And talking of age, you will normally talk of the mental age and the chronological age. If you have a chronological age of 30 or 32, which makes you a youth, and your mental age is not at par with that, then what do we gain? Nothing. And you may have a chronological age of 68, which the oldest of the nominees have, and if that nominee now has a mental age of 15 or 20, what do we gain? So we must rather talk of the mental age rather than the chronological age. It's not the chronological age that matters, as long as that person has something to bring to the table.